Afternoon, all. Welcome to this month's NJTB Guest event. I hope you all are having a good day today. So I'll start with introducing myself. I am Ronak Panchal. I am one of the digital chapter leads here at ASB, and me and along with a few other leads, we look after the quality engineering practice for ASB Digital. Outside work, I'm also the chair of the Australian New Zealand Testing Board (NZTB), and NZTB. For those who don't know about NZTB, NZTB is a not-for-profit organization that looks after the testing as a practice in Australia and New Zealand and works in the best interest of the testers. What we do, we provide and facilitate all the offerings of ISTQB here in Australia and New Zealand, which includes the trainings that have been provided by training providers, the exams, and the ISTQB exams. So if you guys have got any questions around the trainings or exams, please do visit the ANZTB website or the ISKI website, which is iski.org, who's our official exam partner. Beyond that, we also collaborate with other boards across the world to shape the offerings of ISTQB in the form of designing new exams, reviewing the syllabus, and so on. One of the activity that we also do is running these SIGES events. So SIGES stands for Special Interest Group in Software Testing. As part, this is a platform where testers can help testers. So that if there's any interesting topic that somebody would like to share with the testing community, this is the forum to be at. So today's agenda is a presentation by Rahim Mehdi. This presentation is about test ops, a new concept that's there in the market. And yeah, we're looking forward to it. So over to you, Rahim.
Thanks, Ronak, and thanks for the nice introduction. Hope everyone is enjoying his day for this week, and hope you are in a good shape and a good kickoff start for this whole session as well. So, Ronak, do you mind just sharing my screen so that I can kick off very quickly? Welcome everyone, and today's sessions that what we are exploring today. I did some research work on how this new discipline coming into the action as part of our technical community, which is named as Testops. You have already heard some of the technical disciplines like DevOps. This is coming specifically from the quality perspective that what we are trying to explore today, and it is definitely the future of testing market right now. Brief introduction about myself. I'm a lead engineer at Zero, based in Oakland. I have appointed as a different positions across different organizations as a test lead, senior QA, work as a project manager and QA managers as well. Below is the link for my LinkedIn profile. As far as my qualification is concerned, I am a master's in IT and in project management as well, and Agile certified and Microsoft certified as well. What we are looking today in terms of the agenda. So today we will be covering bits on pieces of Testops as part of the introduction, what the Testop actually is, the working structure of the desktop, how you can set up your working structure, and how you can have a high level diagram to see that how it works. Some of the features, skills and tools, what are needed for that one. Some components, there are basic components of the desktops, some best practices that you can apply in your organization. Example with some demos. I've explored some of the tools that I can give you and showcase you as a live demo for those ones. Some facts and stats that how the companies have implemented and how they are using it. And in the end, we will be having some question answer sessions for you if you have anything in your bucket. So let's kick off very quickly as part of an introduction. As part of the introduction, it is a rising technique which almost everyone's dream to have uh, development, operation, and quality assurance work together. In several organizations, when we come into the testing area, it is a norm that we focus much on the quality side, that the quality team is responsible for doing everything. But this concept comes up that in where the teams like the development operation are work together to discover more things and in a time effective way, and to have a more consistency in the quality of their product. With a new channel like Testoff, one can reduce the development and testing time frame definitely, because when you are collaborating more and more within your organization, within your team, there is a high chance that you will reduce the development time frame and you are producing the quality product. It's not only the time frame is the matter, it's you are also enhancing the continuous improvement and continuous delivery. How you can do that, we will explore it in today's session. So, what is test op? In terms of the definition, if you look for the test op, it is a discipline of managing and scaling test automation. So, the word scaling over here is the most important part. In your organization, you might be having your automation test suites available, but if you ask a question about yourself, that how you can scale your automation suites in order to maximize efficiency, because at times what happen, the companies and the organization have the test suites available which is running fine, but when it comes as a scalability of those test suites, you get into the trouble, and then you start thinking on that, okay, we need to redo everything from the scratch to improve the scalability of our automation test suite. So over here, the test top comes up that when you are start doing the test top operation as a discipline, you need to make sure that the scalability of your automation will be there, which will eventually maximize your efficiency, delivery speed, and the application quality. Definitely, it comes with the two terms, which is the test and the operation. The test term is the roles, while the testing of the product with every build to perform the functional, non-functional, and performance part of the testing. And the operation part is to be managed by the infrastructure management. So now we are collaborating the two teams, how they can come together and work as a part of a test of operations. This is the overall journal working structure, that how the team works. So if you can see, I've just highlighted three bigger areas of the team. First team is the testing team, the second is the development team, and the third is the operation team. So if you can look on the left side, the testing team, we are having a very traditional way of gathering the requirements from the product owner, or either from the SME or from the BA who is owning this product. We are gathering the requirements. Once we gather the requirement, then we start doing some test plannings, that how we are going to adopt to those requirements as part of the test planning. Once we are done with the planning phase, we will be able to design some cases for us as part of the test planning, finally executing those test cases, and while doing the analysis at the same time as well. If there are any bugs or issues or defects identified, we'll retest, and then we are doing the release testing, and finally the product will be the outcome, which is available to our customers. So this is the basically the traditional things that what we usually do as part of our testing team. If you look at the development team is responsible to develop the product which is coming as part of the requirement, which eventually will be tested by the testing team. And the operation teams will be taking care of all the infrastructure within the organizations, like the servers, the networks, the governance, the compliance part. So if you collaborate all of these three teams, and as you can see in the diagram as well, so SDE is the software development engineer as a test, which is playing a bit part and an overlapping part between the testing team and the development team. So what he actually does, so he is responsible to create the automation test suite in coordination with the development team as well. Uh, and when you are overlapping the testing team with the operation teams, there is a concept emerged in the as a discipline as of test op. So in the test op, if you look at the bigger picture right down at the bottom, it elaborates more on the test op. So exposure to the system and historical data. So you are exposed to the system and you are gathering all the information that is required or you have done in the past as a data availability available for you to test on. Test cases and actively monitor. So while you are executing those test cases, it will be a runtime show and a real-time showcase that how the tests are behaving, how the productivity of the test is, how it is, how many network utilization is, what is the performance of those test cases. So these are the things that will be monitoring on the runtime as part of the test of operations. Then the production users can also participate as part of your test of operation, or they can help you to enhance the capability of the real-time data. So you can invite some of your real-time users to join the party and to test for yourself as well. Then eventually we will be actually testing the system, which is the under system which is available for us. Once the test execution cycle has been completed, we'll be having the results and the reports for our analysis. So what does the analysis means is like, if the tests are passing, that's fine, but we need to go a bit more ahead on those lines, that what is the performance of those test cases? Are there any links broken within those test cases? The test case usually pass with those ones, but it has another impact on those ones. So based on these analysis, we are doing the quality assessment. So quality assessment is our the final stuff that what we are expecting our operation teams will be doing it. So this is basically the overall picture, how different teams working collaboratively, overlapping each other, but the end result is working as a team and doing their best to have the best quality software in the market. Moving forward towards the concept components of the test op. So basically, there are four major components of the test op. The first one is planning, controlling, management, and insight. So these are the four main pillars and the components of the test operations. I'll just quickly go through with what's written over here, then we'll dive deep into one of each other, what it actually means. So planning is prioritization, test type, test design, and who to test. Control is authority, reuse, governance, and ownership. Who is the owner of that test? Management from the organization point of view, work distributions, test execution, and building trust. And insight is definitely when you have the data for analysis, what you did, how the reporting comes out, what are your learning curves, and what transformation you can make it as part of the improvement. So we'll deep dive into each one of those components one by one. First one is the planning phase. So this is the most important part of the test of operations. When you look into the planning phase, the first question arises, how can I plan and who is doing what? So this at times in the organization, it's a bit difficult question because you need to take the ownership, you need to distribute the workload, you need to allocate someone who is able to plan and decide that who is allocated with what responsibility. So this come under the planning phase, that okay, you need to allocate and you need to plan in a way that you will be having a quality outline at the end of this planning phase. Do we have test automation SDE to help? So now, as I've shown you in my previous picture, that the development and the testing team will be overlapping with each other, and they have the software development engineer test available, which will be responsible for doing the automation part for the testing team. So, do we have those test automation guy available in the team? If your answer is no, then how we can enhance the current um, people and train them to enhance that capability, or either we can hire someone from out of our organization to help us to automate our test suites. Does your team have the technical skills needed? So this is another thing that needs to be come into the consideration as part of planning as well, that do we have a right skill set available and the right people at the right places as well? If not, then how we can enhance those capability as part of the technical skills? How do we assign testing tasks to new features that needed to be tested, and who should handle this? So again, this is coming as part of the planning phase, that if we have decided that we are introducing new feature into our product, then who is responsible, who will be assigning what task, and who will be handling all those situations. So in the planning phase, this is very much important, that you need to have the allocated resources which are responsible for moving forward and taking care of those new features. Are there already reusable component? Again, this is very important part when you are doing as a part of the compliance part, or you are doing the best practices, you need to make sure that if there are any reusable components, you don't have to write down the duplication of the code. You use the reusable component, and that will solve your problem as well. So we need to be very much considerate and do that part while we are doing the planning as well. During the planning phase, I believe your team should first determine whether your test should be a unit test or an end-to-end test. So definitely, when you are started to plan anything from the very scratch, you need to identify which test case will be the best suited for you. Either it's the unit test, or either it will cover more end-to-end test cases that will enhance the capability and doing the more coverage of your test suite. Remember, the sooner and smaller, the better. So, the sooner you identify, the sooner you go into the planning phase in a small chunk, this is a better option for you to plan more actively and more accurately to get the quality product. Second component is control. So control enables the whole organization, not just the tester, to own testing. So this concept now emerging in the market right now, because in the traditional way, what we say that okay, if the bug has been identified on the production side, it's the responsibility of the tester or the quality team to take care, and why they haven't tested it in a rigorously manner that it ended up in a bug in the production. So now the control enables the whole organization. It is not only the responsible of the testing team or the quality team to take care of the control, but it's the whole organization or the whole team is responsible for that. Whole team ownership of testing is key to Testops. So the second point is in link with the first point as well, that the ownership will be with the whole team. It's not only the testing team or the DevOps team or the development team is responsible for that. It's the whole team is responsible for that. And that is the key concept that is started to emerge as a part of the Testop. With it comes the need of control of your entire testing process, including unit testing, functional testing, performance, and etc. So now you have to control the entire process of the testing as well. It's not only that you are taking care of the unit testing, maybe the part of the development lifecycle, which has been taken care by the developers, and functional testing by the other team. So it is the control of the whole entire start till the end of the process, whether you are making the unit testing, whether you are doing the functional testing, and so far and so forth. So it's the entire control that you need to have in your hands as a process of this testing part. You need to ensure that each contributor is also creating high quality test and code. So now that's the concept come up. While we were developing anything, we have the concept of peer reviews. So it's again, you can enhance the peer review, which is actually highlighting in the last point as well, giving that intention how you can create higher standards, maybe through code review or peer reviews. So this 2 points at the last 2 points are highlighting that you need to maintain the high quality code, and how you can do that using the best practices. And while doing the best practices, how you can initiate those stuffs by having a peer review with the high quality standards, like software development people usually does that part. So this is another approach and another component that how you can control the things moving forward. The next is the management. So after the planning and the controlling, the management comes up into the action. Don't make things more complicated for yourself. So keep a simple solution for yourself. Don't make the things complicated. Remember, when we talk about the scale, it's just not the numbers of the test, but it the number of time you are running as well. So when we are saying that okay, we are scalable and we have a scalable automation testing suite available, it doesn't mean that how many number of test cases you are using. Even if you are using 2 or 3 or 5 test cases, but it actually means that how many times you are running them, and how frequently you are getting out of it as part of the quality product. You are running them earlier and earlier. So as quickly as possible, you are running those test cases, the better it is, because The fourth point highlights that you will be finding the bug as quicker as possible as well. So that is another concept that okay, you need to have your test suites, automation test suite available repeatedly. You are running those ones. The earlier you are running it, the more earlier you are finding the bugs, and the bugs you are identifying at earlier stages will be easy to handle and manage across the board as well. Management is critical piece when you are trying to scale, because you want to catch any bugs that you have introduced as soon as possible. So the fourth point is corresponding to the fifth point, which means that it's a crucial piece that you are trying to scale your automation test suite, but you are catching the bugs at the very early stages as well. So when you are catching the bug at the very early stage, you are minimizing your time, your efforts, your cost, and your resources as well. So that is another concept that is part of the management as well. This must happen before you commit your code. So before you are committing your code, you need to manage some things that you have done your peer reviews. Your code is fully managed while using the GitHub or some version controls. So that is another part of the management as well. That means that you have to start thinking about how to manage that and how to move things to an earlier place in that process. So again, the management is the key feature in the test stops, and you need to start thinking and maybe the part of the planning as well. Selenium is not enough to scale automation. We have some of the organizations that are using Selenium. Again, it is not something that we are not, I'm saying that it is not good, but from the scalability point of view, it is not that good enough to scale, to have the scalability available using the Selenium. There are some other tools available which are not free, but there is always a margin to explore some new tools as well. Insights. So this is again a very good component of the test op. The whole point of continuous integration and continuous delivery is to act on the feedback produced by software to your customer quickly. So as soon as the customers are giving you the feedback, that will nice to have it, because you can rerun those cycle and fix those issues as quickly as possible. The way to do this is by by using the insights. As automation engineer, we commonly talk about flaky automations. So from the inside point of view, I mean, while you are running your test cases, the test cases give you the insight information that the execution has been fine, but the test looks a bit flaky, because while you are running it constantly on different builds, it passes, but at times it fails as well. So that gives you an indication at the very early stages that okay, you need to consider something is going on wrong with this, with that test case or test suite. So as quickly as possible, you will find those datas, you will find those insights. That will nice to have it. Add some AI in testing. So there are some tools available that automatically add on the AI into the testing that will overrule your flakiness of your test cases as well. And I can show you some of those ones while we were having the exploration of the tools available. Remove code duplication to improve test efficiency. Definitely, we had just talked about in our previous slide that we want to use the reusable component if there are any, to remove the duplication of the code, because from the testing point of view, it's very hard that if something needs to be changed and you don't have the reusable component, use it across your test suite, then it will be a very hard to manage those test cases as well. Put test stops in place to get more insight of your testing. Definitely, if you are putting the test stops in place, you are getting more insight, more data stuffs available for you, and you can explore more things, and you can improve, and you can do the quality assessment for your test suite as well. Principles of test stop. So basically, there are three principles of the test stop. Only automate the easiest, the most reliable, and most important test case. So I have mentioned in my previous slides that don't make complicate your things on your way. So keep it simple, keep it easy, take those test cases which are more reliable and most important test cases. So you can always approach your product owner or the SME or your BAs to identify which are the most important test cases that will cover more of the scenarios based on for the each bill. So for example, let's take an example that if the product owner says, okay, these are the 5 test cases, if you can automate those part, then we will be covering the 60% of the product when it's going with the new features implementation point of view. So let's start to bring those on board. Try to focus on those 5 test cases. Try to automate those ones and make sure that these are the reliable test cases as well. The second is to execute them as often as possible. So the another principle is, once you created your automated test case, what is the reliability for those ones? So as much as you execute them more oftenly, you will get the confidence level. And also you can always try to improve those test cases by having some performance issues, doing some performance testing on those ones, maybe the load testing on those test suites, or maybe some network concerns. So there is always a room for improvement for those test cases as well. So as more often you execute those one, you will get to know that, okay, these are the things or these are the points that I can improve on those areas as well. Alerts to any failures. So while implementing the test op, if your test case fails, you will need to get the alert. So, for example, I have my test operations available. I want to go out for some urgent work. I push the button for the test suites to be get executed, but suddenly it started to fail for some reason. So how I'll get to know unless and until I'm back on seat? No, that's not the call. So we need to give some alerts to the failures. Uh, Either we can integrate with the Slack. If you have a Slack channel, okay, you will get the notification for the test case failures, maybe either in your inbox or maybe either using some other channels, like both the board will be initiating that, okay, the test case is failed, or maybe through the emails to the management, to the authority or the owners of those ones. So we need to have some alerts available for us, so that as sooner we identify this test case is failing and we can rectify that one, that will be nice to have it. So these are the 3 principles that the test top usually works on. Features of desktop. So there are 7 features of the desktops. Definitely, we need to integrate with the desktop as well. As I mentioned in my previous slide as well, that we need to work in a collaborative manner, not only the developer with the operation team and with the testing team working together. Improve test planning. As we discussed, as this is the major component of the desktop, that we need to have test planning sessions available for us to identify in which direction we want to move in as part of the planning. So the planning is the key part. So if you fail in the planning, the rest assured that you will be ending up in a failure as well. So that is another very crucial features of the test of as well. Accelerated in test quality and accuracy. So definitely, when you have your test plan available, the test cases available, and you are doing your code reviews as well, you are improving the quality of your test suite as well, and the accuracy as well at the same time, because you will be grabbing more data to initiate those test cases and running it more accurately than before. All bugs will be fixed at primitive level. So the sooner the better. So you are running your test cases as soon as possible, and that is one of the advantage, that there might be a possibility that you will be grabbing or identifying more bugs, and you are fixing it at the very initial level rather than going into the production and then you are fixing it at the later stages, which will cost you more than if you are identifying those one at the very early stages as well. It helped maintain code consistency. So while doing the test of operation, like the DevOps usually maintain using the GitHub, you are maintaining the code, you are versioning the code, you are doing the peer reviews as well. So that is ending up with the maintenance of the code, having the consistency throughout the process as well. Real-time dashboard. So this is a very good feature that has been introduced by the desktop applications. you can see the real-time dashboard that how your test is actually behaving in the real time. So for example, there are some of the open source product available in the market which doesn't showcase you how the actual behavior of the test is going on, which will give you some of the products, like for example giving you at the end of the summary that you executed 20 to 15 test cases, and then out of 50, 10 has been failed, and you get the summary at the end of the test suite. So you are wasting time till you are waiting for those test cases or the test suites to be ended up, and then it will showcase you that okay, these are the 10 test cases that ended up in the failure. But in the real time dashboard, this is the other way around. So if those first case started to fail, you will get the alert call, that what we discussed in the previous slide as a part of the principle. So you will be getting a notification, maybe in your Slack or whatever, that this test case has been failed, irrespective of whether the other cases are still running as part of the test suite. But you can always start working at the very initial level, and a very easier way that will go through, and you start digging into the reasons for the failure and try to fix them at the very early stages. It's not only the test case availability at the real time as well, but there are some other feature that I can highlight you in my demo as well, that how we can see some other features while the test cases or the test suites are running. Reduce execution time. Definitely, while you are maintaining all of these six features or these three principles, which I showcased you in my previous slide, you are reducing the execution time because you are identifying the bugs at the very initial level, you are fixing it, you are catching it at the very early level. The whole execution time is minimized, the productivity is increased, the quality is increased, and the quality products you are delivering as part of that test op. So these are some of the seven features that I highlighted as part of the test op operations. So some skills and tools needed as part of the test op. So the first, some of them are monitoring and operation skills. Definitely, if you have a test op or the tools implemented at your place, you need to have a skill set that what operations you are going to do, how you will monitor the things, how you will manage more user accounts and everything. Reliability skills, that is that how the data you are getting is reliable, and how you can forecast your upcoming builds based on those data. So the reliability skills needs to be there. The new tool skills, definitely when you are implementing at a very first level, there needs to be some training has been taken by some of the testing team or might be the quality team to enhance their capability to learn new skill sets. Data analytics skills, so some of the data will be available as far as you are running continuously your builds and your test suites. Based on those, some data will be available, and you make your decision based on those data analytics, that how the test will going to behave in future as well. And definitely don't forget the customer experience skill set as well. So when we try to integrate our customer to do the testing for us, we need some customer experience skill set as well. Some of the best practices, we need to have some best practices, definitely as part of the testing as well. We have some best practices, but having said that, the test tool needs to have some best practices in place as well. So different tool integration knowledge with CI is essential for testing, because you are in a continuous integration phase. So you need to have learning for different tools which will integrate into your pipeline and to enhance the capability of your testing suite as well. More test automation needed to be practiced by the testing. So as I mentioned, that SD, software development engineering tester, needs to be there to just make sure that the automation part has been covered by the testing team. If not, then we can always enhance the capability of our testing team by upskilling them. Always practice multi-layer testing. So there is an issue across different organizations that they used to try to automate and just test the user layer. They don't focus much on the business or the data layer. which ended up in the failure and might ended up something weird scenarios and going to the production as a kind of a bugs. So we need to consider that while we are doing the testing, we need to make sure that we consider some of the database testing, the business logic testing, and definitely the CX or the UI testing as well. With all testing, take performance testing also in the delivery cycle. So usually we ignore the performance testing. In a bigger companies, they focus much on the performance because the volume of the users are very high. So it depends and vary from company to company, but as a best practice from the test of point of view, you need to consider the performance testing as well. Don't waste important time on extra and unused execution. So you don't have to waste time on which is an extra, which is out of your boundary, and an unused execution. So don't waste execution's time because you can just try to execute them on a click of it. So don't try to make things worse for you. Track your execution metric to get the latest results from the execution test cycle. So this is another concept that when you are trying to execute your test suite, you always have some data available as part of the data analytics, like what's the time frame for this whole execution cycle or this specific test case, or maybe the whole suite, how it behaves with the previous build, how it's behaving with the current build. Are there any increase in the time frame for our test to execute? So you can always try to compare your variation with the previous build, with the current build, and the upcoming build as well. So this will give you an kind of an analytics that how you can improve, whether it's the change that is impacting the test suites to vary in the time frame, or it's your test case needs to be get enhanced based on your goals. So these are some of the best practices that I just highlighted as part of the test op as well. Demoing some tools. So let's quickly demo. We are almost running out of the time, but I'll just try to capture as much as I can as part of the demo tools. So I've selected two of the tools. I can quickly show you. The first tool is Mabel. So as you can see on my screen, that this tool is majorly used by some of the company. It's an American-based product. You can always have some data that I was discussing in my last slide as well, that okay, these are the execution cycles for the test cases executed every day. You can always schedule them on regular basis, how it will automatically execute, where it's executing on your local environment, or you have some servers available, so you can always go with that one. It's a brief kind of a dashboard giving the summary that if for any reason, if there are some failures, it will list down over here that okay, these are the reasons for the failures for last 30 days, and you can always go back and check the capability that why they are failing up. These are the two test cases that have been passed and they have scheduled. What is the outcome for those ones? So it's passed, and on which environment it run, in which browser. So Chrome is the one. You can see the execution time for that one, and you can always see the results as well. So as far as the results is concerned, you can see the timeline for those ones as well, at which time which activity was taking care. So 4 seconds for this one, so it will give you the time display, okay, what he was doing at the back end. So you can always monitor while it was running online as well. I can show you in my next one as well. So for example, in this case, we can see what activity it did as part of the Mabel activity, because the product name is Mabel. From the network point of view, what was the response? So some API calls were going on at the back end. So what was the get and response getting up from the API call? Some console logs, if it has it something, yeah, it has. And finally, the performance, that how it behaved, as part of the performance as well. Some of the screenshot it took as well. So for example, in this case, it automatically takes some screenshot for those executions as well. maintaining some logs. Again, you have the DOM as well, that how it behaves with the DOM, and the network activity. Again, the request that it send and receive, what's the status goes, and if there is some performance going on as well. So these are all the results. So you can always have, sort by test name, test plan, or whatsoever. Let's try to visit visit home. You can see only test plan with visit home ones. These are just the searching criterias. Nothing much a big deal, but you can see in the results that okay, these are all the test case passed so far. You can sort it by plan as well if you have some plan in place, that which plan executed at what time and what it does, it failed or passed or whatsoever, or by deployment as well. So if you have anything deployed and you want to execute, you can always have a look with that as well. Other thing I want to showcase over here as well. So these are actually the specific test that is executed. So if we have a quick look over here, this is the detail for those steps. Then again, there is a concept of having the version control within those test cases as well, that how you will control those ones. It's in the master branch, or you can create your own branch. I'll just go through in the configuration on settings once we'll come into that part. Run history, so you can maintain and see the history of those tests as well, that okay, it run on 24th 11:47, run on 7:47, so it's scheduled, what are the results and what are the outcomes, if it failed, that why it failed. um, and if you want to create the new test case, then definitely you can create. So it's asking me for browser test case, yes or no. Let's try to quickly create one demo case. Okay, I'm using it. It will open its own local suite. So the biggest advantage for this tool is that you can, it has a train to trainer concept as well. As you can see, as I clicked on creating the new test case, it started on the sandbox. So every time you create a new test case, you can either give the URL to your application. If not, then you can by default give the sandbox. For example, I'm using a sandbox for Mabel for now. You can see this recording button over here. So you can record this. You don't have to write down the script. You don't have to be very perfect in script, but if you have the skill sets, it's better. As you can see, you can add the steps to those one as well. You can put some asserts, some conditionals, conditions, JavaScript, create flows. So you can create one flow and you can reuse as part of the reusable component over there. Some loops, some elements if you want to find. We are not actually creating some test case, but yeah, let's record this, and I'll say that okay, I'll click on this one and I click the input button, and that's all. This is my test case, right? So I'll save it and I close it. So now my test case is here, demo one. Test steps has been written automatically. And now if I run my test case, I can run it. And it asks me that, okay, if you have, this is a trial version that I installed it. So if you have licensed version, you can get the options of Firefox and the other browsers as well. Which application? So this is all the settings, the configuration part. Okay, I just want to run it. So let's run it. So it's initializing, and you can showcase you over here as well. It's passed successfully here, at the runtime. So this is one of the the crucial stuff that you can use it as part of the test as well. Insights, going to the insights. Sorry, I'm just covering a bit quickly because we are running out of time. So as you can see that insights give you the lot of the dashboard stuff as well, that okay, I noticed that this was a JavaScript error. Auto heals is basically the AI functionality that has already been embedded in this tool. So if for any changes, for example, if you have highlighted that your test case is very specific to some text field, and you mentioned that the text field number is one for that one. Unfortunately, developer changed the field text field name from one to 1A or 2 or whatsoever. Then what does auto heal does is, while you were actually creating your test case, it not only pick up the field name, field number, but it actually picks up the other parameters like the XPath and the other similar kind of things. So if for any reason the text field number has been changed, it will start to look for other things like the XPath or another features. And if it is available, then it will auto heal and pass that test case rather than failing it. So that is another feature that the test ops actually enhance the capability of having the AI into this picture as well. Coverage, you have a dashboard available for you. As I mentioned, keep it simple. The reliability of the test cases you created, 5 6 should be fine. If you're covering all of your application, or 60% or 70% of your application, that is all good as well. You can always identify the rate passing. If it is failing, why it's failing, what are the reasons. It can show you the load time, the run time, the history, the failures, the cause of the failures as well. That okay, it is the network failures or what's going on within that time frame, the timing, or maybe the accessibility, or anything else. So you can always identify and categorize your failures as well. Quickly going on to the accessibility. So these are the accessibility um, dashboard. Last, I will just have to highlight the configuration part. So you can add as many application as your organization has, maybe 1 or 10, doesn't matter. You can keep on adding. You can keep on your environment as well, whether you are running it locally, whether you are running in the cloud, whether you are running in your UAT environment or in the production. So everything can be settable or configurable over here. Some credentials specific to the credentials. If you have some data table, what are the structures you can define over here, and you can use the concept that what I highlight, that you don't need to have the testing just for the UI part. You can also do the DB kind of testing over here as well. Some file uploads. So if you have the functionality that your test case is getting some data from some CSV file or some XML file or some other files as well, you can always upload over here, and you can create your own test case as well. uh, Going into the settings. So the browser test, it showcase you that okay, how your browser will be behaving. If you have some API tests, if you it will show you over here, and if you have some accessibility check over here, it will show you over here as well. You can invite your team member to be the part of this test tool as well, within your organization and outside of your organization. It's all configurable. Some activity feeds, if there is any. Workspace, you can manage your own workspace, and then you can merge it with the branches as well. Some webhooks, if you have anything. This is the very best part, the integration. So you can integrate your test tool with the Slack, the Microsoft Team, like I highlighted in my previous slide, that we might be having notifications alert that if something gets failure. So you can have integration with the Slack or Microsoft Team, maybe Jira Cloud, Jira Server, or anything else. You can manage it using the GitHub while having the branches, the CI for CI/CD pipelines, or maybe the deployment build using the Octopus as well. So these are some integration you can do as well. If you want to do some specific API testing as well, you can do using the CLI commands as well. It is very specific to the configuration part, so you need to set up something over here as part of the API calls to make things work. Network, if you are very considerate with the security concern and your organization is very considerate, that Mabel have the functionality to set up some static IPs for your test cases allocation and to run from your locals, some shortcuts and some labs. So this is one of the tool, I mean, you can always explore. as part of your desktop operation. The another tool what I explore is Catalan. So it is similar kind of tool as well. It has the dashboard available. What are the testing activities? What are the total runs? And how the test results execution went. You can enable with the Jiras as well, and um the productivity, the flakiness of the test. So quality measures are there. The performance coverage. Okay, on which environment you are running, on which browser, Chrome, and how it behaving. Is it a Mac, and the requirement coverage and the local testing as well. So I think that's pretty much it. You can always plan. You can always do the test management part as well. If you want to manage some test cases with some test suites, some objects, and some web services, test execution cycles, you can maintain it in your own calendar, and you can schedule it that okay, at this time you can run your agent will be booked for that one and will automatically run the test suite which you have allocated for some reports as an output as part of analysis, what we have coverage, what are the execution trends going on, some testing results, some testing trends. It's a lot of things. You can do it as part of that test of um, visual testing if you have configured, and some of the configuration. So again, you can configure your repositories, your test environment, some agents similar to what I showcase you in Maple as well. So that's the overall, the live thing, the live kind of a demo while exploring some of the tool that I went through. Coming back to the slides, the last one, we are already run out of time, but yeah, some real facts to share with you. So at Google, system performance is tracked by their DAPA tool, which is a test of tool, more than 1 terabyte of sample trace data per day, and all data is kept for 2 weeks. So, they have the sample that are available for them, and they are continuously doing the performance testing uh, at Google. So these kind of things, you can enhance within your organization as well. If you are very much concerned about the performance part, Facebook logging frame scribe collect approximately 25 terabytes of data daily. So, they are collecting the data, they are logging that into that framework, and they just want to make sure that if you are grabbing any of the information 5 years back you posted on the Facebook as well, you will be able to fetch it in a very short span of time. Similarly, eBay collects approximately 5 terabytes of incremental data every day to perform the analytics. So they are using those, data to doing some performance analytics, and you are grabbing the data to do some analytics work. Based on those analytics, they might be having some findings, some figures, and doing some forecasting as well. Twitter stores 12 terabytes of new data daily, so it's storing the data of 12 terabytes, which is again a big chunk of data, and it's not an easy way to do that. It's just because they have implemented desktop over there. Microsoft Online Properties, Bing, MSN, and Ad Center collect and process 2 PB, which is approximately 1,000 terabytes of data per day. So again, so these big giants are actually doing something very weird thing at the back end, which we can say that definitely they have implemented desktop at the back end, which is making their in the comfort zone to store this data, to perform this data, and to allocate and to give the quality product to our customers. So that is all from my side. I'm open to any questions if you have it in your mind, and just don't try to hesitate anything. I'm still exploring as well, so I can answer you as much as I can. If not, then I can get back to you on that one. So yeah, I'm open for the questions.
Cool. Thanks, Naveem. So, guys, we've still got 6 minutes, so we can have the last part of this session a bit interactive. You might have either joined this through YouTube or Facebook. So, if you've got any question, just post it on the comments. We'll be able to see that, and Naveem would be more than happy to take them. So, while the questions are coming in, Naeem, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah, go for it.
So, Rahim, what are your thoughts on the implementation strategy? Say, for an organization, they do not follow tech ops. So, what are your thoughts? How do we implement test ops in an organization? So would that be a discipline mindset on a squad level, or is that something that would be on a testing practice or a chapter level, or do you feel there's a need for a dedicated test ops team, right, like an enabler for the organization? What are your thoughts?
See, that's a very nice question actually, because you are catering three of the different level of the strategy as part of the implementation. So what I would suggest, I mean, it depends on the organization point of view, how you're going to approach, and definitely it needs a bit of a funding and financial part as well, involved from that part. If you are looking forward for the implementation part, definitely you have to have a different mindset. I mean, not a different mindset in the term that you don't want to do that, but it's how you are going to implement that. And based on your team structure, you need to identify that who are the best technical guys that can help you to enhance that capability from moving from automation to the test of environments, right? So again, it is very specific to and a different approach from organization to organization. So for example, if you are working in a squads, definitely you have 4 or 5 people in each squad or maybe more, so you need to identify some of the skill sets, that who are the skill set dedicated person. If there is no one in there, then the approach will be definitely different. It's just because you need to create the mindset from for those people to go out and cross the boundaries from manual testing to the automation side, and to upskill them as well at the same time. So that is another thing that you need to consider while you are doing for the implementation side. Definitely the planning will be the first phase. You have to discuss within your organization team leads as well, that okay, I come with this proposal as a part of planning and I want to do the implementation, and these are the points that I want to remove before I make any decisions, like the technical skill set, like this integration pipeline part, how you are going to do that. But there is again a bit of a margin as well, because you can learn from the DevOps, you can learn from your development team, and definitely you can upskill your team as well at the same time as well. I hope I answer your question as well.
Yeah, you kind of did. Thanks, Raim. Unfortunately, then no question yet, and we've still got 3 minutes. So I'll ask another one if that's okay. So, with test ops, do you feel we can implement that in Microsoft ADO, the Azure DevOps environment, or do you still feel there's a need of an additional tool that you mentioned? That's our Mibble or Catalan and so on.
See, different tools have a different capability, right? So if for example 90% of your tool is fulfilling your test of environment, why not? You don't have to go out of the box to purchase these kind of tools. But if you are comfortable and you can see that okay, this is the level of the approach I want to, and this is my endpoint, and this is where I want to go, is this tool is fulfilling my needs, yes or no? If it is yes, then definitely go with that tool. I don't want to emphasize anyone to use Mabel or Catalan or any kind of extra additional tool, but it's like you need to analyze that tool before moving forward, how scalable that tool is, how it's fulfilling your quality strategy as well moving forward. If it is 90%, 80%, and you can still see that the organization will is has the best fit in it, just go for that.
Sure, I think that makes sense. Thank you. There's a question from Kunwar. It says, is it running parallel with development or is it DevOps?
So that's a very good question, Kamar. Yeah, it's basically running in parallel with the development as well. Is just for a reason, because you are continuously enhancing your capability of testing while doing the automation part. It's not something that I would say that the developer is having a standalone part. It will be actively participating and encouraging you to help you to create your test suites. That is why I mentioned one of the key factor, which is software development engineering test. So this is a layer between the developer and the tester. So it can be run in parallel with that one as well. I hope I answer your question as well.
There's another follow-up on what Cover says. He's asking how it will be mapped to pipeline, I'm assuming.
So yeah, that's a very good question. So I mean, while you were creating the cases, I won't recommend, and that is actually not recommended, that you have the new feature coming which is not stable. You are trying to automate that part because it is keep on changing as well. Not recommended to do the automation part for those ones. But if there is something very stable, the old features are there, you need to try to automate that part, and that can be mapped with the pipeline as well, because the feature is already in production. What you want to do is you want to automate that part to make sure that each time the new build is there, that feature will be catering using that test case, and it is automatically mapped with that pipeline as well at the same time. So all those tools which are available in the market, like I showed you one of the example like Mabel, it is available to integrate with any of the pipeline. Like if you are using Team City, it can be mapped with the pipeline. As soon as the build is triggered into the Team City, the build is ready, it will automatically trigger your test suite, and it will run as a part of the process as well.
Cool. Thanks, Rahim. And this brings us to the end of this session. Firstly, a big thank you for taking out time and sharing this with the testing community. This was really brilliant. And for those who signed up, thank you for making time. And I'm sure you might have got something out of it. Quick notes. Firstly, guys, if any of your friends or colleagues have missed this session, the session is recorded on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel, so or even on our NZTB website. So you guys could catch up on this later. Beyond that, if you guys have got any questions, further questions for Rahim, so he's reachable on his email. I'll post his email after this session. And then beyond that, like if you see, we genuinely try and make an attempt to make this platform value driven. So if you guys have got anything that you feel that you want to share with the testing community, please feel free to reach out to me or write an email to info@nztp.org. And beyond that, yeah, any feedback is more than welcome, so feel free to use the comments channel to share any feedback. So thank you guys, thank you all.
I
I
just
hope
want to thank everyone who listened to me since last 45, 50 minutes. And I hope that this will be a productive one for your organization, and you have learned something out of it as well. Thank you, everyone.
cool. Thanks, Rahim. Take care all.
Thank you.
Hope you guys have
Thank
a
you.
good rest of
See
the
you
day.
then.
Take care.
Bye.